doesn't mean that you don't go from here to like up here, right? Because if I'm here, what's gonna happen? I got too much of my chest presented. So what you want to do is almost find that nice spot on the body lean for you, what feels comfortable between too much and too little. Find that spot, and it's just rolling it back them shoulders. Try to touch them shoulder blades. Mayo, a lot of what I put in and when I'm coaching, you've got to learn what your body feels right, because I could lie to you and put you under those chutes and tell you you have to be as low as that chute. But shoot, son, you're taller than me. Our levels of contact, our levels where we can effectively drive are different. Our body masses are different. You're in shape. I should roll out on this feet. You feel me? Better. Now.
Alright, boom. Welcome to the gym, baby. Alright, special edition with my man, Coach Vassil. You know, it's not official. I know we got the hair in the bun, but it's not official until you put the hat on, baby. The EJ gym hat on. You can flip it, you can do whatever you want with it. There we go.
It ain't that small, baby.
Alright, now this is Coach Vassil. This is another offensive line coach that I had the opportunity to work with and train guys with. And this guy has great knowledge. I have to thank my man Michael Rice. Michael Rice is the reason that we met. And like I said, this guy has some great information. If you want to introduce yourself to the people, let them know who you are.
All right. Well, my name is Michael Vassil. I grew up in North Carolina. I played high school ball at Southeast Raleigh. Went on and walked on at NC State University from 2005 through 2008. I've been fortunate for the last 8 years to be coaching high school ball all over the place, from Granville County to Henderson to within the Raleigh area. And this past spring, I've actually been coaching offensive line over at St. Augustine University.
That's cool. That's cool. Can you let me know what you did the past year before the spring?
This past season, I was the offensive line coach and varsity offensive coordinator at Knightdale High School.
Okay, so how was that experience for you? Because I know before the OC experience, I know that was something that you wanted and you got a chance to experience that. So how was it?
It was a unique challenge, really for the first time at that level, stepping away from just being a positional coach, having to worry about the entire full vision of an offense, having to learn multiple positions that weren't necessarily natural to me.
Right.
That way I could better instruct coaches around me to help their guys. It gave me a unique aspect of the game that I hadn't really wrapped my hands around before.
Mm-hmm. It's almost similar to like being the quarterback, right? You're definitely like the coach on the field. And a lot falls on your shoulders, you know, outside of being the head coach. Now, how did you handle that pressure?
I feel like overall handled the pressure well. There were definitely some moments where I didn't handle that pressure probably in the best way, being the first time at it. You know, there was always going to be some things that, you know, there were going to be situations, things that come up that, because I never had that experience before, at least from that angle of it, it was different. You know, one thing looking back, I would say probably was how much time you pour into it. I mean, I've always poured a lot of time into football, a little bit too much, a lot of people would tell me, but understanding that extra level of being OC, it took me a little bit further because I'd always try to go back over everything I was seeing. I knew a coach that I worked with once. He said, "You got to be careful you don't start chasing ghosts on the film." And I think that's definitely something that I would do at times.
I like that. Okay. So do you think there's anything with the experience that you just encountered that's going to help you for your new experience over here at the college, which is a nice jump in transition?
I think having the experience will definitely help me to better understand the shoes of the coordinators. Getting to this, the coordinator I'm working with now is first time we've ever worked together. So knowing to some extent the stress that he'll be under and the stuff that he's doing, understanding that level just gives me a better understanding in how I can better help him to take some of that workload off him.
Okay. Well, I hope you guys do well. That's my old school, St. Augustine's University. So I'm definitely rooting for you. I know it's your first time, so I'm definitely. I want the Falcons to do their thing, and I know with you behind the offensive line, we can do great things. So let's go ahead and shift gears. I want to talk about the athletes that you work with, because I had a chance to witness you mentor and work with guys, and I think you do a great job with that. And the first question I want to ask you is, how do you connect with today's athlete or offensive lineman? You want to put it in that perspective?
Well, before I go into it, I'll say that everybody's approach is different.
Gotcha.
And how they do it. In no way and as you and I have talked about,
right.
I'm never going to claim to have every single answer because I don't.
Sure.
But I try to help the kids to understand that the shoes that they're in, I've been in as well. Maybe not necessarily off the field, but in terms of on the field, I've walked in these shoes before them.
Gotcha.
But it isn't just about on the field, it's off the field. So taking time before practice gets started, whether it's just a simple, hey, how you doing? If I've met their parents before, I'll say, hey, how mom and pop's doing? How's your uncle doing? Little things just to connect with them, because football, while it's a big part of all of our lives, is still just a small little piece of a lot of these kids' everyday life.
I love it. I love it.
We spend, at most 2 hours on the practice field. The other 22 hours of the day, they're dealing with the real world just like we are.
I love it. And that's that perspective that I think, just like you said, everybody's approach is different, but if you think of it from that perspective, of a human perspective, and that it's a small piece of your life and it doesn't take over your life, then I think you can have a better balance of having a relationship with a kid as a coach to help them, reach their goals. Another question I had for you, because I'm really curious about just your thought process and just how you approach the game, is how did the position, so from your perspective, evolve from back then, even from when you were playing, into now, or even if you had to go further back, because the game is a little different. Even from when I played, when you played, watching these linemen and the different drills and the different movements that they do now, I love it, but it's a little different from how we were taught.
So, the game is evolving just like, the game evolves because our understanding of football evolves.
Okay.
One thing I remember when I played, and again, it goes with the times, is you do this because I did this.
Right.
And this is the only way that we see it. Well, in today's world, you have access to pretty much anything can access the internet.
Yeah.
Pretty much, there's so much more information out there about just natural body movements, physics, how the body works than it was back then. Thank you, science, by the way.
True.
But just understand a better understanding of the human body is what I say has been a key to, at least for me, with trying to help evolve my style of coaching. Understanding how the body connects, how the body works together, it helps you produce more effective movements, helps you produce a better offensive line.
Gotcha. Wow. Yeah, and that's big. Just like what you said, to piggyback off the movements, and I do a lot of research on movements as well. And I always felt like the offensive linemen were the smartest guys on the field. Just hearing you talk, man, you just ding, 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 ding. I always tell my guys that. All right, another question. I think you pretty much answered that with the videos. The next question would be like, what do you do to keep up with the changes? And you mentioned a lot about the science and different stuff like that. So.
Well, I'm somewhat of a newcomer to this style of which that I'm trying to train guys and work with guys now.
Really?
About 2 years ago, I was extremely fortunate to sit in on a man by the name of Charles Bentley. He runs OLP, which is the premier training facility for offensive linemen that are trying to enter the NFL, as well as guys that are currently in the NFL and trying to sharpen their ability, sharpen their skills, their technique. I forget. It was almost. I want to say it was a 4 or 5 hour seminar.
Really?
It felt like a whole day. Just the amount of knowledge. Just and I know that what he went over us during that seminar was just the tip of the iceberg of what they go over. But like, he was the one. Him and his team that came by. The other person was C.J. Davis, if I remember correctly. But them coming in and visually showing us, how the body connects, how your body connects, how you engage different parts of your body, the importance of, looking at these small parts of the picture to build that big puzzle that you're building was huge. It was after then that I, for a while, I'm not sure if my subscription's still up because I'm still working on the basics of what I pulled from them, but I subscribed to their website to start watching their content, and using their content's actually where you see the foundation for a lot of the drills that I would do with my guys when you would come when I was doing personal training.
I stole some of them just as you.
Hey, look, a wise man once said that everything is recycled and repurposed.
Right. If I see something good, I'm using it. So.
But just being able to sit in on this seminar, which was free, by the way.
Wow.
Which,
really?
Looking back, I would have written them a blank check and said, please take all of my money.
I need to go.
But being able to sit there and listen, he explained the importance of something that we never had planned, which is why and how.
Now, eye points, eye landmarks. Where are my eyes going? They're going this number, or right here. Eyes. Who says a number? 5. Get in the defensive stance. Joe, I know you've been waiting for me to say that. Get in the defensive stance. Can you see either one of those numbers right now? Come off low, Joe. Can you still see his number? Nah, it's going to be a while before you see that number, right? But what can you always see? So my eyes got to track what? Bingo. Eyes track what? Which shoulder? Far shoulder? Big shoulder. All right.
We were always told what to do, when to do it, where to do it, and who to do it to.
Right.
But we were never explained why are we doing this? Why is this an effective way to do it?
Squat down, right? You're gonna squat straight. So now, a good trick to remember that you always got to engage this adductor. All right, is now that I'm angled this way, now when I'm locking in, I lock everything in. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
So now it's a good way to trick yourself into automatically locking in your adductor on your left leg, and then you just give yourself that slight pinch on the right. Remember, it's never too much that you feel like you're squeezing so daggone hard, but you want just enough of a squeeze where you feel these muscles engaging. All right, go here. Now, hands, low knees, rolling back up like I'm trying to pinch my shoulder blades together. Not bad. Stand up and reach for a second. Now, one thing, just because you roll.
How does me executing the block affect this play? We're just told get in front of him.
Gotcha.
But him going through talking about the mechanics of drive catch. Why do we use drive catch? Because we're in a stagnant stance and we need to produce the most amount of force possible so that we're not simply just standing up and stepping.
Okay.
How does it help us? Well, if we're driving forward our momentum's, we're getting all of our body momentum through it. We're bringing our body weight plus what you're squatting, plus what you're cleaning, plus what you're benching.
Wow.
Whereas you step, all you're doing is stepping and then you're trying to bench press a guy. And I always tell high school athletes I work with, okay, what do you bench? Okay, I bench 300 pounds. Okay, awesome. Do you want to hit somebody with 300 pounds?
Yeah.
Or how much do you squat?
Right.
I squat 450. Okay,
Right.
how much do you clean?
Right.
285. Okay, now how much do you bench? And they're like, whatever. And then, now how much do you weigh? I said, now add all that up. With you drive catching and you driving everything forward, you're hitting a guy with that much, or do you want to hit a guy with 300 pounds?
Gotcha.
And 9 times out of 10, every kid's gonna say, I want to hit him with that second thing. So that's why.
I like that. And just to piggyback off of just the vocabulary, I want you to let people know about your thought process, about how you approach the game and how you talk to your athletes, to kind of put that mind and body connection together in the aggressiveness that we want as linemen.
So again, growing up in the old school, I had offensive line coaches just like you did, just like we all did, that yelled at us, cussed at us, fussed at us, oh, you're not doing da-da-da-da, blah, blah, and it all sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher, womp, 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 and you found a way to step it up, or they replaced you. Again, while sitting at this seminar 2 years ago, I listened to LaCharles talk about the mental approach to it, and it's very similar. The way I would always equate it to is, how can I be mad at you when you've done exactly what I told you to do? And I use the following example. Let's say you're one of my offensive linemen, and I tell you to get in a stance, and I tell you, okay, you're gonna block this shade right here. You're a guard. I want you to block down on the shade. You're gonna step right here, you're gonna step right there, and then you're gonna go attack. Well, mentally, the process when we step is the same as walking. No one ever walks aggressively. No one ever, and maybe if you see somebody you really like, you walk aggressive, but then what does it turn into when you really like some, a jog, a run, something like that. But, so now you go out on the field, you step right here and you step right there, and then you engage the guy, but you don't get the results. Why should I initially yell at you? Oh, you're not doing what I told you to do. Well, you're doing exactly what I told you to do, because I took this 6-inch step here and this 6-inch step there, and I just engaged. That's exactly what I told you to do. Your failure at that point to execute what I wanted isn't necessarily always on you. It starts with me. If I'm not giving you a proper cue, if I'm not cueing you, if I'm not mentally preparing you for something, then why can I then yell at you? Why do I get to yell at you when I didn't find a way to properly mentally prepare you for that? But now, if I get you in that same stance and we're still going to down block that shade, and I say, I want you to drive, I want you to drive your angle through the gentleman and strike and deliver a blow. Now you go out, okay, coach wants me to drive, so coach wants me to be aggressive. Mentally, this is where your mind is going. I have to drive, I have to own my angle, and I need to strike through this person. Okay, now you've mentally prepared that child to succeed. And it all comes down to anybody, whether it's an athlete, whether it's a regular person. If we mentally are not engaged in what we're doing, there's always going to be a lesser degree of effort or interest put into it. But if we, and it's true for everybody, if we mentally are engaged and we mentally want to make this happen, we find a way to get our body to make it happen.
So I like that. So basically, words matter. And you understand triggers and cues, and I'm not gonna lie, I use that big time. I use that with my kids a lot. And I don't know how everybody, but I love that process of just how you go about it. So any special kids or any stories that you want to talk about, recent, old, or any kids that you were,
Well, I'm always, every kid I've ever coached, I feel a special connection with, because they're doing something that not everybody either physically can or mentally can. I mean, it's any game is a tough game, and anything you do in life is going to be difficult. There's going to be a level of difficulty. It's not always shown, but it's there. But all of my guys, whether they were fortunate enough to get scholarships to go play in college, or whether or not they're now starting their journey as a young man, I'm extremely proud of all of them, man. It's just, the biggest thing for me coaching is football gave me gave me an outlet to be able to join a community, to be part of a brotherhood that I didn't necessarily always have. Growing up, I was a little socially awkward, but football allowed me that opportunity to kind of have a fraternity, have a family that allowed me to feel comfortable to then be the person you know now when I'm happy and outgoing and gregarious amongst other things. So
Yeah, so that's my biggest thing of basically using this platform is basically teaching kids how to use football as a tool. And it's not necessary, just like you said, your career might end after high school, your career might end after college, you might be fortunate to go pro and it ends there, but what's next? And the relationships we have with kids are forever. That's why I connect with him. And I know some people, they just coach kids and they throw them away. That's not what I'm about. And I want to be able to teach people and teach kids and coaches how to use the platform you have for good. So thank you for your time. All right, some good stuff. All right, Coach Vassil, check them out at St. Augustine's University, my old alma mater. They should be doing some big things next year. Jim, out.
That last one did not work. Well, one, you were engaged. You created your body to become a coil. But two, that last one, you actually drove off that right leg. Like if you were going to the left, you actually drove off the right leg. Now do that same thing to the left. Remember, it's not about leading this. It's about driving, pushing off that. All right. Now, feel the difference? Now, get in the same stance, but instead of driving off that left leg, step. Yeah, literally take a step, do the bad thing. Instead of driving off the left, I want you to try to step. Feel the difference in your body, right? Because you know how that felt, right? When you drove, you caught on the inside of your foot. My body weight was central. My body weight was dead down me. It was right down the middle. I had perfect balance. Now do the same thing, but step. I don't like the word step, man, by the way. Just FYI. It's an evil word. Now, what did you feel when your foot landed flat?
Like, it just felt like it was just this foot.
Yeah, it felt like that. Body. Now, I'll do you one better. Do it again. No, I'm not going to push you. But literally, though, when you step, my hands are moving right here. I literally feel how much my hands move side to side as you step. All right? All right, lock in. What'd you have to do when you stepped? I didn't even freaking move you. That was all you. I know it did, but the reason it felt that way is because when you stepped and you used a flat foot, your body weight now shifted, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because my foot's flat, that's more surface for my body weight to now transfer, right? And so then what happens? It starts off little, but then what do you got to do to get back over here? You got to shift all that weight, right? And now what happens? Now I really start getting off balance. And then what's the next thing that happens? I get shook and thrown. Whereas, go back to the original way, I'm going to drive, I'm going to be on the inside of my feet, and I'm going to do the same thing with my hands, and you're going to realize what you thought was me moving was just you. So go. All right? What you're going to do, you're just going to feel right here. I'm going to move with you. Did it feel like I moved you? But not nearly as much as the first time, right? Why? Because your body weight was dead down your middle. When your body weight's dead down your middle, you can move as fast as you need to. You can move with as much control. So now slide out a little bit so you don't get all. All right, so offensive lineman, hands behind your backs, getting the bent knees. CJ, you can already get a stagger going to your left. Defensive guy, watch me. If I point this way, you move this way. Point that way, you try to move back inside. Offensive guy, this is going to go slow. So defensive guy, you don't move till I do this or I do that. Got it? Nice and slow. Focus on eye landmarks to the crotch. Feet split crotch. Eye landmarks to the near shoulder. Got it? Most importantly, CJ, what else do I want to focus on? It's usually about the midsection. By hip. Keep him what? Firm edge. Exactly. Firm hip, not soft. So work a 45, your hips around your midsection. Sit. Oh, I lied. You guys can't see me. Come on, Hutch, eyes in the back of your head. You don't know that? Sit. Hutch.
Just do one step.
Yeah. Hutch, I literally said don't move until I move my finger. Once I move my finger, you stop and wait for me to move it again. Sit. Switch. We're working on learning to slow down that ice and go into the weight room. I don't know, you tell me, which one's harder for you, the medicine ball or that thing?